Welcome to Zero Hanger Hard Knocks, where each week every team cops a hard knock or a burning question. We are fresh off round 10, so let's kick it off with... The Crows simply need to learn how to win close games. Another thriller, another Kawana heartbreak. After a slow first half, the Crows came storming back and stole the lead with 5 minutes to go with some Isaac Rankin brilliance. However, in typical annoying Collingwood fashion, the Pies managed to hold on in a close finish. Kawana can be pleased with their efforts, but this is the fourth game they've lost by a goal or less. Have the Lions resurrected their season? Okay, look, Brisbane's fourth win came against a Richmond outfit that has maybe 3 healthy players right now. But the Lions' 26-goal haul was their most impressive effort of the year. Starting well behind the 8 ball, the Lions are now within touching distance of the top 8, with a host of players previously out of form. Forwards Charlie Cameron and Joe Danaher were instrumental in Saturday's victory. And a date with Hawthorn to come next week, the king of the jungle might have awoken from his sleep. Carlton's one-wood is becoming a real issue. Carlton have been on the record saying one of their biggest strengths is their midfield, and with Patrick Cripps, Sam Walsh, Adam Chera, Matthew Kennedy, George Hewitt and Elijah Hollins, you'd think that too. But recently it's been an issue. The Blues lost the clearance count by a measly 4, but the damage done by the Swans and opposing sides is becoming a glaring theme. Heaney and Warner, admittedly playing forward at times, kicked 6 goals between them, while Carlton's midfield cohort slotted 3. Michael Voss must start trialling new looks through the centre because at the moment they're getting too predictable against the well thought out sides. Old man Pendles is coming for the AFL's game record. The Collingwood champion has once again defied all critics' claim that 2024 will be his last year. Scott Pendlebury is arguably the smartest player to run onto an AFL field, and Saturday's performance is a reflection of that. Even at the ripe old age of 36, Pendlebury gathered 30 disposals, 70% effective, kicked 2 first-quarter goals, 6 clearances, 4 from centre bounce, and 8 score involvements. With game 400 on the horizon, it wouldn't shock the AFL world if the smooth left footer goes well beyond that, and with what he's currently producing, the Pies would be hoping that as well. Do Essendon have the list to challenge for a flag? The Bombers are second on the ladder. I feel sick. The Bombers are second on the ladder after 10 games and should continue their winning streak this week against Richmond at Dreamtime. Their latest win, a 40-point victory over North Melbourne, came without the likes of Darcy Parish and Jordan Ridley, who should both return for the clash against the Tigers, and saw role players step up to the occasion. With the likes of Xavier Dersma, Sam Draper and Will Setterfield also likely returning in a month's time, it could all be coming together for Brad Scott's side for a strong run through the final stages of the season. While Yallop need to fix their goal kicking if they want to contend. The Dockers are in reaching distance of finals after a return to contention this year, but their kicking in front of goal is a glaring issue. It's the same issue that's hampered them over the past several seasons, and it could be the difference this year between playing September and missing out on the finals race again. The Dockers kicked 110 to start last week's loss to Sydney and missed 10 straight shots on goal against the Saints over the weekend. Poor kicking is poor footy. After 3 consecutive losses, is it time to panic for Geelong? Not yet. We asked this question last week and we didn't think there was room for concern, but a 64-point loss doesn't sit well. Despite the host of experienced talent sidelined for the trip to Darwin, the Cats were outgunned and outplayed, which is something you don't say too often. The defence leaked 164 points, which traditionally has been stingy. Tom Stewart is struggling to fight past a tag. But think back to 2022. Geelong was 6-4 after an inconsistent start. They're a game ahead this year, and you just know Chris Scott has something up his sleeve. Jack Lukosius is a forward. Since taking over as Gold Coast coach, Dimmer Hardwick has trialled utility Jack Lukosius in multiple positions, despite the youngster pleading for him to put him forward. Failed starts across multiple weeks throughout the year led to Dimmer giving Lukosius one more chance in the front half as the Suns played their second game in Darwin. On Thursday, Lukosius made Hardwick eat his words, slotting 5 goals and having a direct hand in 5 others as the club destroyed Geelong by 64 points. Leave him there, Dimmer. Leave him there. What has happened to the Orange Tsunami? GWS have lost their 3rd consecutive game, making it 1 win from their past 5 starts. What's happened? Sitting at 5-0, the Giants looked untouchable along with crosstown rival Sydney and were surging towards an elusive first premiership. However, the tale has drastically changed, with coach Adam Kingsley admitting there is plenty of work to do. With injuries to key players, Kingsley looked to his experienced stars to respond to a disappointing fortnight but saw nothing. The run isn't there. The defensive pressure is non-existent. The ruthlessness has been stripped. Something has got to change. Did Sam Mitchell cost his side a win? The Hawks gave up a 41-point lead on Sunday against Yardapulti, who kicked 2 goals in the final 30 seconds to snatch victory from Hawthorn in style. But what was the leading cause for the turnaround? Power star Zach Butters was monumental and deserves some credit, but questions must be asked why the Hawks decided to pull Blake Hardwick back into defence after his 5-goal start to the game. It looked like a move where the Hawks decided to try and run out the clock instead of continuing to apply pressure through the scoreboard. Why aren't the Demons utilising their best midfield mix? Nam have one of the best midfield quartets on paper, with the Max Gawn tapping it down to Christian Petrarca, Clayton Oliver and Jack Viney, but it seems coach Simon Goodwin doesn't often rely on all 4 players being at the same centre bounce at the same time. The combination was hardly used against the Eagles on Sunday, but when it was, Nam looked on top of the game. That seems like an easy fix. How will North Melbourne's selection sacrifice pay off in the long run? Coach Alistair Clarkson conceded after Sunday's loss to Essendon that swingman Charlie Comben is being used in defence as the club looks to avoid any further setbacks for the emerging big man. Comben, who has impressed as a defender this year, is expected to return to the forward line eventually, meaning the likes of Toby Pink and others are also needing to play out of position to aid Comben's chance of a less physical game and further injury. Is this move one that will pay off in the long haul, or could it disrupt the development and planning for both Comben and other Kangaroos, given Comben is playing a role he isn't expected to hold? What should the Power do with their ruck structure? Yardapulti have now used 3 standalone ruckmen across the first half of the season, with Ivan Solder, Jordan Sweet and Dante Vicentini each getting a look across the opening 10 rounds. With Soldo out injured, Sweet showed promise before missing round 9 through illness. Vicentini also found form in their absence, but required the assistance of Charlie Dixon over the weekend. Should the Power look back to Sweet, continue to rely on Vicentini, or move to a 2-ruck setup before Soldo is available to return from his knee injury? This season is going from bad to worse. Richmond's 91-point loss to the Western Bulldogs was bad, but it was topped on Saturday. Travelling to the Gabba to take on Brisbane, the Tigers were set to respond to the drubbing they received, but instead served up an even worse dish. The 119-point defeat was the 9th biggest margin in their history. With coach Adam Uze left with more questions than answers, even opposition coach Chris Fagan sympathised with the struggling side. The Saints need to sharpen their spear. Euroke need to start looking for greater support for Max King through their recruitment drive, with tall forwards and clean ball users through the middle third of the field the needed additions for Ross Lyon. The Saints have recorded 80 or more points just on 2 occasions this year, with their issues coming down to inaccurate forward 50 entries and lacking star talent around King. If one doesn't get you, the other will, but most likely, they all will. Black, Ackermanis, Voss, Cousins, Kerr, Judd, Heaney, Warner, Goulden? The Sydney trio was certainly on their way to stardom prior to 2024, but their opening 10 games has them on a stark trajectory towards the stars. Against Carlton, the trifecta combined for 6 goals, 80 disposals and 34 score involvements. They put the Blues to the sword. Heaney is on track for the most prestigious award in the land, but Warner and Goulden's seasons thus far shouldn't be sold short. Scary. Is Jake Waterman the game's most improved player of 2024? Wallace Marawa forward Jake Waterman would have to be the clubhouse leader to earn the title of the most improved player in the competition this year. The in-form Eagle is one of 4 players tied for the Coleman medal as of round 10, having booted 5 goals against Nam's backline on Sunday. Following a year heavily interrupted by illness, Waterman is putting his hand up for a maiden All-Australian selection. Ed Richards is a surprisingly good midfielder. Across the past fortnight, in Tom Liberatore's absence, Luke Beveridge has thrown the keys to Ed Richards and given him license to run through the midfield. And boy, hasn't he delivered. Against the Tigers, Richards had 34 disposals, 10 tackles and 7 clearances in an impressive performance. Against the Giants, Richards backed it up by recording a game-high 10 clearances to go with his 27 disposals and 8 score involvements. He's proven himself across the half-back line, but he gives the Dogs a different look in the midfield, which at times has looked pedestrian. And the last hard knock is for the AFL itself. Should we rethink the running too far rule? Okay, first of all, did Isaac Rankin run too far? Yes, he did. But where's the umpire's sense of theatre? Some of the game's best moments happen when the umpire puts the whistle away. That aside, should the AFL consider extending the 15 metres or rethink the rule entirely? If you can burst from stoppage and cover 15 metres as quick as Isaac Rankin can, you're actually at a bit of a disadvantage by having to bounce the ball. Food for thought. Those are our hard knocks and burning questions leading into round 11. Are we right? Are we wrong? Are we asking the right questions? Let us know what you think in the comments. Hit the subscribe button and catch all the latest AFL news at zerohanger.com, the #1 AFL independent news source.